Hey, I'm gonna try this new segment. Maybe I might call it Coffee with Ken. What I want to do is every once in a while just sit down and talk to you, the business owner, the CEO, and just share some insights about some of the things that I deal with in my businesses. As most people that are following me here know, I'm the CEO of a conglomerate company called Cottage Dream Vacations. And Cottage Dream Vacations has right now, at the time I'm recording this video, 6 businesses, 5 of which are making lots of money. So I own a major real estate training company. Obviously, I own the Canadian Hot Tubs Company, a new gold mine that we've just acquired, 4 different resorts right now that we're opening. And what maybe this coffee chat's gonna be is like, what's a CEO go through? I wanna talk to you a little bit about some of the things that are happening for me right now. And one of the major decisions that I just made in my business that probably could go down in history as the best decision I've ever made. And it was probably not one of the easiest decisions to make, because when I made this decision in my business, it almost felt to me like I was admitting defeat. And I think that a lot of people that are out there in the small business landscape, or they're entrepreneurs and they have dreams to start big businesses, or they have dreams to start a business and make more money for their family, I think a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome, and they let imposter syndrome paralyze them and stop them from moving forward. And I want to tell you guys, first and foremost, it doesn't matter how big you get in life. It doesn't matter how uncomfortable you get. You are always going to be forced with making decisions that are very uncomfortable for you and that just don't sit right. And whenever you make a decision, or you're trying to make a decision that has to do with you growing and doing more, getting more out into the limelight, getting in front of more people. A lot of people, they get that uneasy feeling in their stomach. And especially when it comes to making decisions that's going to impact them one way or another, they get really uncomfortable about that. And they call it imposter syndrome. And I wanna, first of all, stop you from doing that ever again. If you're starting a little business and you're trying to scale your business, and let's say you're talking about building a following, getting in front of cameras, talking to people like that, getting out in front of people. It's not gonna feel comfortable for you in the beginning. It's not gonna be easy. In fact, it will be painful for you. And a lot of people who know they have to do it, and they get into this stuff, they start to try and build a following, get more people paying attention to them, they stop themselves. And they've heard this term called imposter syndrome, and they cling to that saying. Oh, it's imposter syndrome. I'm struggling with imposter syndrome. You might not like this, but I'm gonna call you out. It's bullshit. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing as imposter syndrome. Some phrase that some marketing guru created to make you feel like you've got a crutch that you can lean on when you're trying something new. Here's the reality. Whenever you're trying anything new, it's gonna be uncomfortable. It's gonna make you feel weird. You're gonna fight against it naturally, because it's hard to get in the habit of doing things that are gonna make you grow. It's not fucking imposter syndrome. It's just that uncomfortable feeling when your endorphins get going and when your energy levels start going in your body, you feel more. Anyway, I get that feeling all the time whenever I'm making big decisions in my company. I don't know if I'll ever do a video like this again, by the way. This is like a coffee table side chat with a CEO, one CEO to another. And if you head over to my YouTube channel and subscribe to my channel, I try to be as transparent as humanly possible in all my businesses. And I regularly record videos to show how we're scaling companies, some of the issues that I deal with. And I turned my camera on this morning, sitting here drinking coffee. And right now I'm in the Sheraton Cavalier in Calgary. It's a Sheraton hotel. I'm out here for a week to meet with our legal attorneys, our securities attorneys at Castles for our mutual fund trust. And sitting here having breakfast this morning by myself, and I thought I'd just come and get with you and talk to you. And I was inspired by some stuff I've seen on social media lately, and I thought it'd just be a good idea to talk about some of the issues that I'm going through as a CEO, some of the things I deal with on a regular basis. Hopefully it might help somebody that might be going through the same thing. Maybe not at the same degree, but at any degree. So I guess what I want to know is, and you can tell me now by going into the chat or the comments and saying it, or later, but if you appreciate a video like this, where there's no glitz, there's no glamour, there's nobody around me, I'm doing this by myself, and we just have an open, honest conversation about what it takes to be a great CEO and build a great business, let me know. And if you like this video, I'll keep doing them. If you're not, tell me you don't like it. Tell me it's boring, it's a waste of time, because then I won't do it again. It'll save us both a lot of energy, right? So I guess there's a couple things on my mind today. One is a major decision that I just made in my businesses that I know is the right decision for the right reason at the right time. And I made it, and I'm gonna live by it. But I got this really icky feeling as I was going through the thought processes around this decision. And it really felt to me like, and I don't know where this came from, because I normally don't think like this, and I normally don't let these things get in my mind, but it felt to me like I was admitting defeat in this decision I made, and I'll explain what that is in a second. The second thing I want to talk to you about is some of the real troubles that you're gonna face in your role as a CEO, and one of the easiest ways in the world to fix it and to make it better. I wonder what you want to know about first. Do you want to know about the big decision I made where I felt like I was admitting failure? Or do you want to know about one of the most important things I think you can do as the CEO of a company if you really want your company to scale? Let's start with the failure. So I've been building this company now for 4 years, and it was really cool that this company, Cottage Dream Vacations, started out of a passion that I had for cottages and the time I spent at cottages with my kids and my wife as they were growing up. And I decided, obviously, I was going to get into the short-term rental business and have a couple more cottages. And then I decided that when the pandemic came, I was going to buy a cottage resort. Then I was talking to a friend of mine who works at the Marriott hotel chain in Salt Lake City, Utah, at their headquarters. And he got me excited about building a whole bunch of them. And then everything else has come along through that. And here I sit today. So this decision I made has to do with who's running my company now. And it's not me. And I gotta tell you, it's really freaking uncomfortable. So one of the things that I learned a long time ago about being the founder of a company or the CEO of a company or somebody who's in charge is you have to realize right up front that you're gonna be the hardest worker, that nobody's ever gonna work as hard as you. And you just have to live with that because you're the guy or the gal that started the company. You're never gonna find people that work as hard as you, that want it as bad as you, and that's just what life is. And if you fight through it and you build your business, well, then eventually you're gonna get to the point where it starts to grow. Once your business starts to grow, this is what happened to me. Everything started to grow. We got our first couple resorts under construction. Our training business is growing like crazy. We bought the hot tub company, it's growing. We're on our way to profitability there. We bought the gold mine, it's getting ready to open. So we got all this stuff going on, and I started thinking back to some of my early days, and I realized that where we're at now as a corporation, I really needed to make a change and delegate some of the management responsibilities that I have. In other words, bring somebody else in that I really trust to run all the operations in the company, basically run the whole company. And so some of you guys know that in my companies, my right hand is an incredible business leader. Her name is Tammy Stanley. And Tammy has a background in operations. She's worked in some major corporations, and she's been working with me for about 5 years. She actually helped me to start this business. She's been our chief operations officer in charge of all the operations. Then as we started to scale the business and we're getting ready to open our mutual fund trust, which is an investment vehicle that allows us to raise money right across this country from whoever we want, and also to bless the lives of millions of Canadians. The importance of the mutual fund trust and being focused on it and helping really ensure that the money that we take from Canadians as investments is put to use properly and is diligently protected is a big, big responsibility. And I started thinking a lot about that. And then combined with that, with all the other businesses growing, I remember sitting down one day and looking at me as a person. And I asked myself this question privately one day. I said, what am I the best at? And what am I gonna do to scale the company to make sure it stays on track and it does the best it can and it helps the most people? And you may not agree with this. If you know me, you might totally disagree with this, but I'm gonna tell you, here's what I came up with. I'm the best at sales and marketing. I'm freaking amazing at it. I can sell ice to an Eskimo, I know that. I'm also really good at motivating people, at keeping people on track and sharing the vision for where we're going. And listen, if you're the CEO of a company, if you're thinking of starting your own company, you better freaking get good at that. If you can't develop the ability to share a vision, to paint a picture of the future and prove to everybody and help people to understand where you're going and keep them on track. If you can't do that, you better get a coach in your life that can teach you how to do that, because you will not build any business to greatness unless you can cast that vision, unless you can help people. So I knew I was good at that. I knew I was good at sales and marketing. And I thought to myself, if I was to think about what my best use is, my best case scenario for me as an individual leader in this company, forget the fact that I created it and I'm the CEO of it, but if I was just thinking about where could I give the best help, I came up with this idea that my best case use scenario would be to be heavily involved in sales and marketing, because I'm the brand, I'm the guy that's talking on camera. And then secondly to that, with all of the experiences I've been through in the last 25 years that I've been running companies, I've had companies fail, I've had companies succeed, and I've been taking notes along the way, my own proverbial playbook. And what I realized is in situations where I could build trust with the people that I was working with and I could really get them to buy into the vision, and if I stayed focused on them, motivating them, being friends with them, offering advice, and most importantly, guiding them. In situations where I had conversations right up front with my key stakeholders, my executives in my companies, and I asked them if they would let me coach them on becoming better leaders, on how to manage the people, dealing with strategies. And I created this open door policy where we could have private conversations around the things they were struggling with when it came to the people in their teams. Every situation where I offered that help, they accepted, and it ended up creating better people. So I thought, man, if I could really set this company up for success, the things that I am great at are mentoring the senior leaders, sales and marketing, and selling the story, selling the vision, being the face. And I said the things that I'm not really great at are the operations, the calendar, keeping everybody on track, keeping everybody held to their tasks, following the budgets and making sure that profitability was met. I thought, I'm not really good at that stuff. And then that's when I realized that Tammy is great at that stuff. She's amazing at it. She's pragmatic. She doesn't get emotional about things, which are all incredible attributes for a really strong business leader. And I started thinking, and this is the part where the minute the thought got into my mind, I started thinking, hey, am I admitting defeat? Am I actually giving up by thinking this way? Oh, thanks for that. Sorry, gotta pay the bill here. But then I went back and I looked at, some of the mentors I've had in my life, like Russell Brunson. Years ago, Russell, building ClickFunnels, brought his buddy Dave in to be the CEO of the company and got himself out of the way of it. And I saw that I was actually thinking of that exact same scenario. And so I agreed to do it. I agreed with myself to do it. And this only happened a couple weeks ago. I went out, I reached out to Tammy Stanley, who's our COO, and really does a lot of the operations stuff anyway. And I said, I'd like to promote you. I'd like you to be the president of the company. And the president of the company essentially is the right hand of the CEO. And basically you get to decide, don't ever think that because it's a certain title, it's a certain role. As the principal of the company, as you're building out your org chart and building your senior management team, loosely speaking, these titles are titles that are linked to specific duties, but you also get the ability to tailor them or fine tune them so it fits your needs. So I said to Tammy, I'd like to have a president in the company that could primarily be responsible for all the businesses, in charge of them all, from an operations and revenue perspective and P&L perspective. I said actually from an operations and profit perspective. And I said I want the president to be in charge of every company, to work with the general manager or the key stakeholder in each business, to make sure their budgets were set up properly with the right profit margins, to make sure that the right people were hired and that they stayed on task with what they were doing. And I would even give her complete control of all the businesses, which even means the training company. And I said that would allow me to work with her, and I could mentor her and help her to become a better president, a better leader, and then maybe even one day become the CEO of the company. Do you notice how I dangled that carrot for the future? One big major mistake that most principals in businesses make is they don't understand the importance of constantly reminding people where they're going and what you're thinking in your mind People can't read your mind, so don't ever stop sharing that stuff. So I said, that's where I wanted you to go. And she accepted, which meant a raise and more responsibility. And she's really freaking good at it, which is driving me crazy. I wish I would have done it a year ago. Everybody loves her and she's doing amazing. But for me, it was fucking painful. Like I really felt when I first started thinking about it that I was admitting that I wasn't good at it. But you know what I realized was, as a CEO of a company or somebody in a key role, when you give away your power, you give away your responsibilities to other people, what you're actually doing is you're empowering your own organization, and you're proving to your people that you don't have an ego and you want what's best for the business. And that was the feedback that I got from the key stakeholders. Everybody freaking loves it. So now it's put me into a situation where I can focus on revenue, I can focus on sales and marketing, I can spend the time I need to go find new properties for us to acquire, and I can work with all of our GMs and our key stakeholders and become a mentor to them, which helps our whole community grow faster. So that's kind of my piece of advice to you. As early on in the process as you can, figure out what you're really good at. And if you want to build a major business and you're not good at sales and you're not good at speaking from stage and telling the story, go get somebody to teach you how to be good at that. Those are probably the two of the most important things I think that a CEO or a founder or a principal needs to have in their toolbox and have readily available to use at any time. It was a big learning experience for me, and it felt so risky doing this, but now that we've done it and it's in place, our company's growing faster because of it. Then the next thing I did, once I announced it, I went to all the key stakeholders and I explained how it was gonna work. So they knew that I was endorsing it and I was the person directly responsible for it, and I was directing it, because each one of the key stakeholders joined the business because of me, which is the next thing that I want to tell you. When you're hiring employees, when you're hiring managers, when you're scaling your business, understand there is nobody that's going to join your company because of a widget, because of what you're selling. They're going to join your company because of you. If they like you, if they're inspired by you, they'll follow you. If you don't understand that, you're going to struggle in business. Anyway, that was a mouthful. Coffee's finished. I know I got to go to a meeting. What I want to know right now is, would you like to sit down with me for coffee more often? I'm traveling quite a bit now. I'm gonna probably be in 5 or 6 countries this year. If you'd like these types of videos where I just kind of break away from the world every once in a while and share some of the things that I'm dealing with as the CEO of this billion-dollar company in the making, if you're interested in that type of video, then just put a comment in the chat. And if enough people say yes, then I'll do more of them. We'll see you soon.